For many of us, our professions define our lives, our identities, our public personas. For Judy Cory, the 40-plus years that she worked as a Hollywood movie hairstylist to the stars played a major role in her life. Even today, after retiring from the film industry, Judy finds herself still connecting to the people, places, and experiences from her career. And in listening to Judy's remarkable Hollywood stories, it's easy to understand why. In just general conversation, you rattle off movies like it's the best of the best movies that I've seen in my life. You mentioned one just a minute ago, Patch Adams. Mm-hmm. Robin Williams was...
Love Robin. And Robin was in Hook.
Oh, you did Hook too? Really, we need a list. You need to write down a list for me when we're done of the movies you've done, because seriously, you say I can't remember, and you continue to reel off these movies that are some of the best of the best.
This is kind of an interesting thing. And when I first moved here to Georgia, and
What year was that?
In 2006.
So you'd been in the industry for 40 years?
40-some years.
40-some years, yeah.
And we retired. I realized as I was talking, because I had one of my friends here mention to me that I was talking one time and I mentioned a film, and she goes, "Yes, Judy, we know that you worked in the film industry." And I thought, wow, do I do that? And then I realized what I do, that's how I remember things. I don't go, when I was in Australia in 2000, I go, when I was working on Matrix, or I was working on Sweet Charity, and I remember my life in segments of movies. It's my way of following time, rather than thinking of the year it was done. Sometimes I don't even know the year the movie was done. That's how my life is spaced. I don't know if it's sad or not sad, but that's the way it's based.
Would you change it?
No. I had a wonderful, wonderful career. I was so lucky to go places. I don't have a college education. It opened doors for me that would never have been opened had I not been doing this job. I went places, behind the scenes places and stuff. I went to the White House with Tom Hanks. We have an assistant usually, and they're called our second, that I used on Hook. I had never worked with her before. Her name is Susan Schuler.
What does that mean?
Second is, she helped me with paperwork. She helped me. She did other principal people, but she was like my second hand. And when I first called her, I was so excited about doing Hook because there were so many possibilities, so much stuff we could get into with doing that. And I called her and I was so excited about it. She said that's why she did the show. She got all excited talking to me about being all excited about doing the show. I mean, we had so many things to figure out and do.
Like what? Explain that.
Well, we had mermaids that Stephen wanted to have pastel hair. And at that point, it wasn't a big thing like it is now. And they had to be in a pool. They had to be swimming. They had to be... And
so was the worry that the color would wash out in the water?
We didn't know what the reaction would be. We wanted to test whether we would have wigs made out of synthetic or real hair, the way it floats in the water. Was it different? Yes. So how do you decide which way to go? And you do tests. On Matrix, we had to figure out how to have 150 Smiths standing in the pouring rain for hours and hours and hours. They looked like him and they had wigs on. And had to stay so they didn't get messed up because they were in the Matrix. So these are all challenges that you have to figure out and work out how to do it.
How many times did you have to go to the well on the Matrix to make that right?
Oh, I tried so many different things, and we'd do a wig and we'd put it in a shower and let it sit there all day with the water beating on it to see if we could figure out how to do that.
So is that pre-production work? Is that what they would call
No,
pre-production?
we actually did that when we were filming, because we filmed over a year on Matrix. We filmed in San Francisco and Australia.
What's the longest it ever took to finish a movie for you?
Well, that was probably my longest movie.
A year.
It was over a year.
You said that your life is defined, like you break it up or you think of it in terms of the movies that you were in. So I have to ask, and this is a really terrible question to ask someone, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Best movies that you worked on? In your mind.
Schindler's List. Forrest Gump was fun. Schindler's List was hard.
In what ways?
It was hard because of the subject matter.
How were you approached? Did Steven Spielberg approach you personally, or how did you get into that?
Well, I had done other movies with him, and we were approached by his company, and they did an interesting thing. They asked us if we would consider giving up part of our salary to make the movie, to get it done.
Because they couldn't get the financing for it?
Well, Steven had financing, but I think part of it, because it was such a gamble, and the deal was, but they gave us a good deal, and I don't even know if I should talk about it.
You don't have to talk about that.
It's interesting. Whatever we gave up, they would give us back double if the movie made $100 million. Gross. Not net, gross. So we gave up what we could. And, there were about 10 of us that went to pull. Sound, camera, makeup and hair.
So you make the deal. What did Schindler's List end up making?
It made over $100 million, and the day it did, we got checks.
The day it did?
We got checks.
Spielberg was that kind of guy.
You got your check, it was right there.
Was it worth it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It didn't make me a millionaire or anything, but it was worth it. And it was worth being on the project. This movie affected my life more than anything ever did.
In what way?
I think it in a way made me a better person. I hope it did. You understand what people can go through and live. Man's inhumanity to man. Mm-hmm. I know it's happened many times, but when you're standing there facing it and in the actual places it happened, it affects you. It does something. We worked at Gestapo headquarters. We did work in the prison camps. We were going to go to Birkenau. And what the company did is they built the set. There's train tracks going in. And instead of working inside the gate, we built the set outside the gate so that it looked like we were inside. But we weren't in there desecrating anything. We were outside. We had our building, everything outside. But we did use the actual gate. So we had to be there very early. And it was winter, and to do this scene. And we have this bus that we work in. And it's an old bus, but that's what they made the makeup station. And we had shades.
Shades on all the windows?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we got there about 3 in the morning, and we started doing everybody. And as the sun started to come up, somebody opened the window shade and said, "Oh my God, look at this." And we went and looked, and here we are with the sun coming up in this cold, wintry scene. Was Birkenau. The gate you had seen in many movies, the little buildings, it was there in front of you. You couldn't help but be moved. It's quiet. There's ice everywhere. The sun's coming up, and you're looking at this place where such horrible things happen. Moving.